All right, well, hey everybody, Rob Satcham here from Feedbackwrench. Again, I got a video on the dash cam in the car because I'm an entrepreneur. I wanted to convert my downtime in the car. Usually, I like to use a little bit higher end camera, but when I'm doing this talking head stuff, I don't. And today we're going to talk about how your services in small business, whether you're a freelance graphic designer, a videographer, an SEO company, a concrete expert, a chimney repair guy, a lawn service, or even remodeling. I want to talk to you about how if you're missing jobs, it's never, ever because of price. Price is never the issue. All right, so price is never the issue. Let me give you a little backstory of where this came from. You just ask yourself, what's expensive in your life? What is actually expensive? What does it cost? Well, it's hard to say something's expensive until you know what the payoff is, right? It's hard for you to know what something is worth until you can gauge what you had to expend or to get it, and then what you receive in exchange for that, right? That's ultimately what a free market society is all about. I always laugh, my wife, when we talk about a service or whatever, there's something we want to buy, she's like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to do that. I heard it's expensive. And I look at her and I'm like, well, what do you mean expensive? Like, how much is it? Well, I don't know. I just know it's really expensive. I'm like, well, in proportion to what? In proportion to paying $300,000 for a nice house, or in proportion, like, help me gauge what scale we're talking about. Because there are tons of people, I would look at this car that I bought for $25,000, cloth interior, Nissan Altima. This is a great value. This is an amazing value. I feel like this is totally worth it. And yet, I went out to eat a couple weeks ago and I got done spending $100 on a meal and I'm like, that was not worth it. That was expensive. How can I think a $25,000 car is not expensive, but think that a $100 meal for four of us is expensive? And we know the answer is value, right? And I know that you know this, and I'm not telling you anything brand spanking new, but I want you to really think of this when you're an entrepreneur. When you're a small business owner, or if you're a freelancer, you can often get really scared of price. You can get scared asking for the sale. Anytime you're actually having somebody take money out of their bank account and put it in yours, it's kind of scary. I remember my first times at this, I was working at Best Buy. And it was really early in my career at Best Buy. I was there for like 6 years. And I was selling a computer. And I remember they would be like, you need to offer your Geek Squad black tie protection or your PSP plans, right? Your warranties. And it's like these people are buying a $1,500 laptop. And I'm trying to tell them to buy a $450 warranty, right? Or a better example was Geek Squad black tie protection. They had this computer service where if you ever have any problems with your computer, for the low cost of $40 a month, we will handle everything for you. And I'm like, $480 a year, $500 a year? Why would anyone do that? I thought it was a ripoff, right? And whenever I would present that, I was just shaking in my boots. I'm like, oh, this is expensive. I feel embarrassed almost to do this. I'm a computer guy. I know this is a ripoff. Well, I thought it was a ripoff then. Now, I'm still a computer guy, I'm still a tech guy, but you know what I value much more? I value my time. I understand that for me to have an outsourced IT guy, now I don't use this, but I know some people that do, to have an outsourced IT guy that can just take my computer, dial in the middle of the night, and help me out by setting up Microsoft Outlook or porting, if I have different accounts that I need set up between Microsoft Office 365, or maybe they're going through and I just need them to fix my printer or some of the stupid things. I know that I need to value my time at almost $400 an hour, right? And if I'm worth that, what it costs me screwing around with these things is just stupid. $400 an hour. And I used to be complaining about charging $40 a month to help something. Now, there's a dark side to that, but what changed for me is starting to understand and frame things up in terms of value to time. Wise people understand that time is your only constraint. It's the only true constraint. It's the only thing we have a limited amount of, right? And people flippantly say that, but you should really start to fathom this when you're thinking about sales. So how did I get talking about time and value when we're talking about the price is never the objection? People don't say no to you because you're too expensive. People say no to you because you either have not conveyed or your solution simply is not worth it. When somebody says no to a sale, they are saying it is not worth it for me. I do not see the value in proportion to what I have to pay for me. So, how do you start to overcome that? The first step is for you to get outside of your world and start putting yourself in the shoes of clients and know that you can only do this to an extent. So you need to be very suspicious of your ability to do this. You need to be cynical about your ability to actually put yourself in the shoes of others, because your time is only quasi-valuable right now to you, depending on where you're at in your entrepreneurship world. But if you can start to think about how certain groups of people value their time, you'll start to see true value, and you'll start to understand that in the sales process, your number one goal needs to be finding out what's most valuable in that prospect's life. Now, you need to connect with them. You need to have an organized conversation about how their business operates if you're in B2B, or you have to understand their world. And if you can understand what's truly valuable to them, and it could be, hey, you know what I value? I value the ability to focus on what I do best and not being hung or pulled down by details. You know, if you're an admin assistant, a virtual assistant, for example, virtual assistants notoriously can be tempted to charge very little for their, too little. But if they start to think, wait a minute, I know business owners who make $500,000 a year, $250,000 a year, and there's a lot of them out there. You do the math on how much they're worth a day. If I can make their life better so that they don't have to waste time, but what if I can make all of the time that they are currently spending in their activities even better because they're focused? Then I start to understand the questions I should be asking it shouldn't come down to, all right, ma'am, how much are your virtual assistant services? It should be the virtual assistant interviewing that potential client to understand what they do, how much they're worth, how much their time is worth, and then to talk about, are there times where you're unfocused? Are there times when these details are getting in the way? What would it be worth it to you to be able to end your day and be done? How would it feel to not have the monkeys on your back in the morning when you start up? And they might go, oh yeah, that'd be kind of nice. But then you might have some specific examples of things that will catch them and really ruin their day. All I'm saying is, it's no matter what sale you're in, it is never about price, ever. That's why airport food and convenience food is more expensive, because in the context of being on the go, being in your car, going somewhere, you can't be home and have it cheap. So there's a higher value to that food. I don't need to go on and on about this, but all I would do is encourage you to start understanding the underpinnings of value in everything that you do. And it's not ROI. A lot of people who think they're really smart will be like, oh yeah, when you talk value, you're talking ROI. Not necessarily. What you're doing, you don't want to get in this straight dollar for dollar. Is my dollar in exchange, is it a 0.25 multiplier, or is it a 250x multiplier? There's a little bit of that, but really what you want to do is find out, you want to get in front of people who think about value, who know what they value, who understand what they need solved, and you need to help clarify what they need solved in your sales process. So if you can do that and start thinking about the underpinnings of value and how it can help them, and here's ultimately, it comes down to time. Not only does it come down to time, but wise people understand that leverage and sales leverage is incredibly powerful. And so if you can help people save time, if you can help them be more efficient in their pursuit of growing profits, wise people know that that's what it really comes down to. That's why great corporations invest in the lean processes. It's why the Lean Six Sigma, continuous improvement, they know that if you can more efficiently produce whatever it is that you're doing. You're getting a higher ROI, yes, but ultimately they know that that's valuable. And they also know client acquisition costs, growth, and sales are really important, as is client satisfaction. So that's my challenge to you guys. I know that was kind of a rambling, but it's never, ever about price. It's always about value. Don't cheat yourself.